4 years ago, I did a video on my channel that was me trying out all the best sellers from Sephora US. And I was doing that while I was still living in Sweden, going through the best sellers, basically seeing what are selling in the US, because I also did do more than 4 years ago, a video that was doing a full face of bestsellers, the Swedish Sephora edition. And now I've been living in the US for a couple of years, and I started thinking, why don't I do a bestsellers of Ulta? Because I started going through the bestsellers and I realized I own quite a few of these things. And also, I was kind of surprised. About a few of these things, and I want to talk about it. And I also want to talk about, while I do a full face of this, I want to talk about the products, I want to give my review, and I want to chat about why I think these are bestsellers and not others, because there are some surprising things that we're going to find on this list. I am not always going to be, this is disclaimer, Angie is entering the chat. I'm not always going to pick the thing that's number one, basically because I didn't want to buy a lot of makeup. I did own a bunch of the things that were bestsellers, so it's going to be something that is at least a bestseller in the top of the category, but it won't necessarily always be the number one, because I didn't want to purchase a bunch of new things, trying to shop my stash a little bit as well. And I also wanted to mention something to you that you might not know, and that is that when you go into the bestsellers of Ulta and you go through and you flick through the different categories, sometimes you might be surprised when you see something and you're like, is this really a bestseller? And you know what? It might not be, because sometimes there will be a little tag that says sponsored, which means that the brand has paid to be higher up in the list, or maybe there is some kind of a campaign that's going on Ulta right now, so Ulta wants to show that brand further up than they would be had they just been looking at the amount of sales this brand has. So when it says sponsored under, I try to not pick any of those, because quite honestly, we don't know if that's a bestseller or not, or if they, through the magic of manipulating numbers and paying for it, are able to be further up than they should be. So there's only going to be actually one product that is sponsored, and I'm going to use that towards the end of the video, that I am going to be talking about, and it's because it's actually my favorite product, and I actually had a backup. I just used up the product and I had a backup, so I wanted to mention it. Let's start. Let me put my arms up. English, not my first language. ELF primers. This is the ELF Power Grip Primer. This was number one on the list, and I love this primer. I think it's such a good primer. I sometimes get questions like, what does different primers do? And these gripping primers, this is clearly a dupe of the Milk Primer, but I think that this is so similar to the Milk Gripping Primer that I would say buy this one instead. Sometimes I do think that the more expensive version sometimes actually works better or looks more sophisticated on the skin, especially if you're starting to get more aging skin. I'm 41, and sometimes I do notice that there is a difference between different formulas on the skin. But when it comes to these gripping primers, the ELF is just as good as the Milk one, so save some money and get the ELF one. These gripping primers will grip onto makeup and make them stay on your skin. It won't necessarily change the formula, so it won't make it look more luminous, it won't make it look more matte. It will just make it stay on your skin longer so it doesn't slip around. That is perfect if you're like me and you have a little bit of an oily T-zone or oily skin, and you want the makeup to stay on your skin and not start slipping around, but you also don't want the makeup to appear more matte than it is, which a mattifying primer would do. So this is the kind of primer I use when I'm using a foundation that I love the texture of it already and how it wears on the skin. I just need it to stay put. Another really good gripping primer from the drugstore is actually the new one from Maybelline. This is the Grippy Serum. This is a really good product as well. You don't need to use this as much. You can see I have a bunch left. Fairly affordable, definitely recommend it. It's a little bit more liquidy, but it does the same thing to holding on to your foundation. When it comes to foundations, I am not surprised whatsoever to still see Estee Lauder Double Wear on the first position. It has been there for years. People swear by this foundation. It is full coverage, it is long lasting, it gives a pretty natural matte feel on the skin. The only thing I don't love about this foundation is that I feel like it can can look a little heavy on the skin. One that was on the list is actually a foundation that I have been trying out kind of as of late, and I really love it. I gave it a great review, and that is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid Matte Foundation. I have mine in NC30, which I don't know what that is, but you can see it's too dark for my face, but it is a pretty good match for my body. So we are going to be putting this one on, and like I said, this is a beautiful foundation, and it also gives a natural matte finish. I would say that this is a buildable, like a medium buildable, and I will say the difference, that was definitely a dog hair, the difference between this one and the double wear is that I feel like this one feels and looks a little thinner and more sophisticated on the skin. It is just like a newer, according to me, better formula. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me. I know there's a lot of people who love the double wear. I just think that this one is a little easier to work with. I just think it looks a little better on the skin. The one thing I don't love about it is that it kind of smells like paint. Like, and not even kind of smells like paint. It straight up smells like paint. I'm remodeling. When it came to concealers, for quite a long time, the Shape Tape was #1. But now, the NARS concealer is back again on the #1 spot. And it is interesting to see, because when I started YouTube 10 years ago, everybody, what's gonna be my shade? This was sent to me as PR, and I haven't used any of these. This is light, medium 1. I might do the medium one. This one is called Custard. When I started YouTube, everybody was going crazy about this concealer. This was before Shape Tape. I know, there was a time before Shape Tape. And then, if you were here for the Shape Tape craze, you literally could not log in to YouTube or any kind of makeup social media without people shoving down Shape Tape down your throat, okay? People were so crazy about Shape Tape, and I will say, for the longest time, I didn't like Shape Tape, but I also will say, I started YouTube, I was already in my 30s, and a lot of these makeup creators were talking about how Shape Tape was like not settling into their fine lines, and they were like 21. I'm like, babe, what fine lines? I need you to calm down. And at that time, we were all using an absolutely unholy amount of concealer, me included. Listen, this bitch too, me included. And it took me snapping out of that. I still think that this is quite a lot concealer, and I still use concealer like this in almost a triangle because it fits my face shape. But it took me getting out of using too much concealer to realize, you know what, Shape Tape is actually a pretty good concealer if you don't use too much. But now the pendulum has swung. People have fallen in love with Shape Tape, but now that the hype is down, the NARS one is back on top. And it is again the best-selling concealer. And I wonder what that really means. I feel like for me, it means that the people who love the NARS kept loving NARS, that concealer, same as like the double wear, kept being loyal to that through it all. But the people who loved Shape Tape, some of them have moved on, which means that when they rebought their concealer, they bought something else instead, and eventually NARS overtook them again. I just think it's kind of fascinating. They have like a setting sprays and setting powder category. The first powder that is on is actually the airbrush powder from Charlotte Tilbury that people swear by, but I decluttered mine because I actually think the powder is a little overrated. I also think it darkens up under the eyes, which isn't my favorite. First of all, can we talk about the Laura Mercier? The loose powder is still almost like a reigning champion. That's the most like popular, like best-selling loose powder. Again, people who love it, love it. The second loose powder is actually the one from Morphe, and I have travel size here. I will say, I think that there was a couple of products that people really loved by Morphe, which is the setting spray that I also have here. That's also one of the best sellers when it comes to that list, and the setting powder. I feel like a lot of people agreed when it came to Morphe that a bunch of their products were a little overrated, but these two people actually really loved. So these are two of the products that the brand saved, or kept, I should say, when they started to rebrand after the owner. There were new owners. The company went bankrupt and new owners swept in, and Morphe is now under new ownership and under new leadership. So a lot of the products that you're going to see here is actually going to be from Morphe, because I think that the new management via Morphe has not only changed public perception of the brand, people are willing to give them a chance again because they're new owners, but also they've been able to bring in a lot of actually like good quality product. They're not just hyped because of influencers, but also like actually like good products. And we're going to talk about quite a few that's on the bestseller list of new products from the brand. But I'm going to start with some powder like that, and then we're going to go into, like I said, bronzer. This is the new bronzer stick from Morphe. This was actually not top in the Morphe, like in the lineup of the bestsellers, but I will say quite a few of the bronzers that was on the bestseller list was sponsored, more than I saw in other categories, and I don't really know why that is. Maybe it's because it's summer, more brands are trying to sell bronzers. I have no idea. This cream bronzer is great though, so I'm not sad that we're using this one. And I also saw that some of the bronzers that was there, like the Benefit Hoola and the NYX Press bronzer, a couple of them are bronzers that I actually didn't love and I got rid of. So for me, this one was a bronzer that I actually like. Yeah, I still have it. I haven't decluttered it because I'm not going to buy something just to use it in a video when I've already reviewed it. I didn't love it and I decluttered it. I'm not out here trying to waste money and resources in that way. But I also saw that just after this one was one of my absolute favorite, if not my absolute favorite bronzer of all time, which is the powder bronzer from Fenty. That one was also on the list, but not as high as I thought. And it's also like the fact that Benefit Hoola is still that high on the list, which according to me is a very neutral, on me, like almost cool tone bronzer. The fact that that one is still that high on the list, it does show that, like, yeah, once something become a favorite for people, it stays a favorite and they keep rebuying it. And they're not, even though there's so many options on the market, they're just not willing to try a new alternative. But it also shows that for a lot of people, they only own one bronzer, which I think honestly it's the way to go. I mean, I have a lot of bronzers, but it's because I'm trying a lot of bronzers. I'm trying to figure out if you want to try a new bronzer, which would be the best for you. But a lot of people might only have one bronzer, and then when they use that one up, or maybe they break it, or maybe they're like want to replace it because it's old, they'll just get something that they know and love, which is the one they had before. But I do think, and I do wish that, because again, I think that especially with bronzers, I don't think that the top list represents the best bronzers in the biz at all. One of the bronzers that was on the list was the powder bronzer by Charlotte Tilbury. That's a great bronzer, but it was marked as sponsored, so I didn't fully know if it was supposed to be on the list or not. But that one I really do love. So brush away some of this powder and let's go in with blush, because we are again doing Morphe. The first one on the list, I'm gonna use the second one on the list, which are the blush compacts by Morphe. I have two of the trios, and I'm gonna be using the more neutral one today. This one is called, if I can open it up, this one is called Sunset Swim, and it has 2 creams and a powder. And I'm actually gonna be using, what am I gonna be using? Is this even gonna show up on me? Because this one is like lighter than my skin right now. This is gonna be interesting. I think I'm gonna do a mix of these 2 creams actually. But what I thought was really interesting, that number 1 on this list was actually the Benefit Tint, which is a really, I say really old product, but like in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to makeup products, this is a pretty old product. But I don't even think that this is necessarily people being, oh, I'm repurchasing this product, but this product had another hype. It was like getting hyped on TikTok again. That is actually one of the things that I think is really interesting with TikTok right now, is that TikTok has the ability of hyping up an old product and making it popular again. And I think that one of the reasons why that product is on the bestseller list right now is not necessarily that it's like a bestseller over time. I do think the reason why it's on the list and why it's on number 1 on the list right now is because it became hyped again on social media during 2025, which I find very interesting. And I also find one of the fascinating things, where is my little brush here? One of the fascinating things about TikTok is the ability for them to hype up an older product in a way that, I'm gonna be honest, other social media platforms just haven't been able to. Okay, I did a little bit of brows because brows are boring. And I also thought we need to do highlighter. I have the NYX Butter Melt Highlighter, and this one is on the top seller list. Let me see if I can actually open this one. And oh my God, I will say, the only thing that's really annoying with these is that they're very hard to open. Like, I had to bring out a tweezer. And I have been talking about this formula quite a lot. Let me see what was actually number 1 in this category, because I don't think that this was number 1. Here's something really funny. I did actually bring this out. Number 1, well, this one I didn't bring out, but the second one. This is the Fenty Beauty Diamond Glow Highlighter. I bought that one in lavender, but I have that one saved because I want to do a full face of new makeup, and I think I'm going to save it for that. But I do find it really interesting that this is the number 1, seeing that Fenty hasn't been on Ulta for that long. Also, number 2 is actually a highlighter that I really love, which is the NARS new highlighter, but it is marked as sponsored. But I did buy this in a second shade. That's how much I love it. I do have a video where I'm trying this one out, and I loved it so much in that video that I also bought it in the rose gold shade, and this one is called Heavenly. So that's how much I love this highlighter. I bought myself a second shade. I think it is absolutely beautiful, and even though this says that it is sponsored, I still do think that this highlighter is absolutely beautiful and it deserves to be on the list. But one of the ones that I actually do have and that I really do recommend are these new highlighters from NYX. I decluttered the bronzer. I didn't like it. I thought it was too pigmented. I thought it had a weird undertone. I didn't love how it blended on the skin. I thought it just wasn't my favorite. The blushes are okay. The highlighter, stunning. They're so beautiful. And I got, this is my 4th shade. I have bought 3 shades and I bought a 4th shade because one of you showed me this and says this is an orange highlighter. Look at how beautiful this is. So this one is in Butter Bling, and yeah, this is my 4th one in this formula. Some of them are without sparkle, some of them are with some sparkle. This one has a tiny bit of sparkle, which honestly just makes your cheeks look really wet and beautiful. They also have one that is more of a sparkle topper, which is the purpley lavender one. I've been really into lavender cheeks as of late. Have you been able to tell? This formula is a really great formula. Not good for the price. Not good because it's more affordable or because it's a drugstore brand like NYX. This is just a really nice formula and I highly recommend it. And I bought this orangey one to bring because I've been traveling. I've gone both to Hawaii and to Bali, and I thought this orangey highlighter would be perfect for a summer vacation. I absolutely love this one, either as a blush topper or as a highlighter when I have a little bit of tan. Look at how beautiful that is. Warm, glowy, stunning. I love a really warm and nice cheek, and I just like, I think it's so beautiful. Definitely, again, definitely recommend this one. It does deserve to be on the top list. Now we're going into lip liners. Listen, I was not surprised when I saw that MAC lip liners are still one of the reigning champions when it comes to the bestsellers. This is a great formula. It does deserve to be on the list. They've actually released a couple of new colors as of late, and I did get one of the new colors. This is Cool Spice. I'm very excited. Spice is one of those really holy grail colors, and now they came out with a cool tone version. Mine is a little bit busted though. You can see the tip is broken, but I'm gonna sharpen this one and we are gonna be doing Cool Spice. The number 1 on the list though is that lip stain that everybody's using as a liner. I don't like that one at all. I don't think, and listen, don't shoot me, don't come for me. I don't think the lip stain lip liners look good on anyone. I am yet to see it look good on anyone. Don't come for me. Don't cancel me. Oh, this is a nice color. I don't know if it's this color per se, but I will say from experience, it's really hard to make these match. I love this formula. It is the perfect amount of creamy. You can go in thick, you can go in light, you can shade these. They don't bunch up. They're so easy to be precise with, and they last, and they're not creamy or shiny or goopy. You can actually work with these the way you're supposed to work with the lip liner, and they do what a lip liner is supposed to do, which is keep the lip product inside the lips and not bleeding out on your face. I feel like the function of lip liners have just been lost. Totally, like they left the chat, but this one, it does what it's supposed to do. I don't think anyone's surprised that some of the reigning champions are the NARS lipsticks and the MAC lipsticks. My favorite actually of the ones that are on the list that is not sponsored. A couple of the MAC lipsticks were sponsored, but these were not. These are the new and improved Luster Glass lipsticks by MAC. These are so good. This is the one that's called Thanks. It's MAC. Absolutely beautiful color. And then I also have the one that is called, I think, Business Casual. Yes, Business Casual. Look at that color. This is my favorite formula from MAC. This is a slightly more glassy, slippy satin formula. So it is kind of shiny on the lips, but it is a thin formula, not goopy, not horrible. You can go in sheer or you can build it up. You know, some of those like glossy lipsticks, they're just so thick on the lips, and not these. Again, really, really beautiful formula. I also wanted to mention that #1 on the lip oils is the e.l.f. lip oil, and I 100% recommend this lip oil, and I agree. This is a great lip oil. It's actually one of my favorite lip oil formulas, and it happens to be a drugstore formula. This is pillowy, it is thick without being goopy or sticky. I think it is beautiful on the lips. It feels and looks glassy without being goopy. It has a really great longevity. I don't know really which one I want to do. I kind of want to do Business Casual, the one that's a little red. This is what I would call like a neutral wearable red, slightly lighter than think Charlotte Tilbury's A Walk of No Shame. And I'm putting on this lightly, I'm not building it up, to get that like sheer red lip. That is absolutely stunning. But yeah, I agree with both of these formulas being on the list. I think they're absolutely stunning. Okay, let me put some of these things away, and then we can do the setting spray. I told you when I used this setting spray for the first time, this is an aerosol, the one from Morphe. Like, look at that. Oh. I said I joined a cult. I understand the hype. It is so good. It is such a good setting mist. It smells like a spa. It really sets down your makeup, and it really sets down your makeup, makes it look smooth and like not powdery, and it helps with longevity. When it comes to eye primers, again, we have another Morphe product, and this is the Solo Artistry Priming Cream Eyeshadow. You can use this as an eyeshadow, or you can use it as a primer on your for your eyeshadow. And I actually really like this as an eyeshadow primer, and it's an affordable alternative to those MAC paint pots that also work really beautifully but are a little bit more expensive. So I definitely recommend this new one from Morphe. And like I said, I really feel like consumers are giving Morphe another chance and agreeing that some of their new products actually are good quality, because I feel like back in the day a lot of Morphe products were, I wouldn't say subpar, but they were not as good as the influencers were saying they were. And eventually that caught up with the brand, and when the influencer hype kind of died down, so did the brand. So I'm happy they're back with actually like good products. So many people told me, I have been trying the Morphe eyeshadows. They are on the top list. I don't think anyone's surprised to see these like to be bestsellers. Basically, the neutral palettes from Urban Decay have always been like reigning champions when it comes to the bestsellers of eyeshadows, when it comes to Ulta and also like Sephora. But these are fairly new, and I feel like the consensus have been that people like these. Not my opinion though. I did a video where I was trying out new Morphe, and I did another video where I was trying out new makeup. So I tried one of the 6 pans and I tried one of the bigger 12 pans, and I didn't like any of them. I thought both of them were honestly pretty bad quality, and I actually got a lot of pushback from people saying, which usually happens on social media when creators don't like something that a viewer likes, is that they will tell you that you don't know how to do makeup, which is fine. It's okay if you like something that I don't like. But how I felt about these palettes is that I didn't think that they were any good quality. I thought that they were pretty subpar, at least the colorful ones. And I said, you can get better eyeshadows than this for equal amount of money, especially that pastel one. There was someone I was really upset with, I didn't like the pastel one, saying that this is the perfect pastel palette. Listen, I've tried a lot of pastel palettes and telling you right now, you can do better than that. Remember that old pastel palette by BH Cosmetics? Ugh. It is sorely missed. But I also got some people saying, actually, the neutral eyeshadows are much better than the colorful eyeshadows. So I'm gonna give the neutral palettes a second chance, since people seem to think that these are better than the colorful ones, and I'm usually more into colorful makeup. So I'm gonna try both of these mattes on the side here, and we are gonna see if I think that it's the neutral palettes that are actually bringing good quality. I can already tell you that this matte is better than any of the mattes we tried from before, because if you didn't know, I do own a makeup brand, so I do have, and I also done quite a few collabs with other makeup brands, and I've been able to develop makeup, sample makeup. I know somewhat what goes into creating good makeup. And I also know what is easy to do and what is hard to do. And it is much easier to do a great shimmer than it is to do a great matte. It is also more expensive to do a shimmer than it is to do a matte. And it is much easier to do a neutral eyeshadow than it is to do, like a good neutral eyeshadow, than it is to do a good colorful eyeshadow. Which could be the reason why the colorful shadows just weren't as good. But I can tell you right now, there are definitely brands out there that are delivering on good colorful eyeshadow at a more affordable price. It just would seem that Morphe is not one of them. Which is fair, at least then we know, because yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, this looks pretty decent. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. This looks pretty good. I don't think anyone is looking at this being like, wow, that looks horrible. Okay, this isn't like the best blend I've ever done in my life, but you know what? I feel like it's pretty decent. And it could also be me. It could be me. I just did my makeup the way that I usually do my makeup, but it could definitely be me. I want to use one of these shimmery shadows, and I think, because you can use these wet, and I think that's what we're gonna do today. I'm not making any sense. And I want to use like I have a MAC Fix Plus, a mini. So I'm gonna, first let me get rid of the fallout. I think we're gonna do this one, and I'm gonna spritz in the pan, because you can use these wet. And I'm gonna spritz in the pan. There we go. Should I have prepared a brush? Maybe. These yellow brushes are from my own brand, Cinch Beauty. I'm like mixing together like a little putty. It definitely turns a little bit more putty. You can see it's like almost like picking up. And I don't know if that's good or bad. I haven't fully decided if I like that. Because that is very intense, but that is also like, that's thick. There is a thick paste here. And I don't know if I love that. But maybe I used the wrong tool or something. But that is very high intensity. But it's also kind of thick on the lid. But yeah, that's definitely the way to go to get more intensity. But I think you can see when we zoom in, because it is so thick on the lid, you can see the texture. It's looking a little lizard skin. But when I'm far from, maybe we can't like really tell. So maybe it's not the end of the world. But it is definitely giving that more textured indie shadow feeling. Okay, yeah, I agree. These definitely become very intense if you spritz them. Good to know. See if I can get rid of that. I definitely have a little fallout, but that is to be expected, I guess. I'm gonna use a little bit of this one. Oh my god. The light is really not loving the white packaging. The one that is more of like a classic shimmer. And I'm gonna put that on the edge where they meet. so that there's like a little bridge in between and it doesn't look as choppy as it does on this side. I always talk about bridging colors here on my channel, and it's a really good way of making things flow together, and I got some fallout, and making things look less choppy. And then I'm gonna clean off that brush, and I'm gonna use the matte cream shadow. Oh yeah, that's much better than the pastels too. Yeah, okay, I definitely agree. If you're gonna try these Morphe shadows, get the neutral ones. The neutral ones are really nice. The colorful ones, you can do better than that. Okay, you know what? I like that. That looks good. That looks really good. Not like that really subpar result I had last time, which I didn't like at all. So yeah, the neutral ones, they're nice. The other ones, no. I was looking at eyeliners, and I was talking about this a while ago when we were talking about the Urban Decay scandal that they had with Scandinavia, because they are redoing their setting spray, and we were looking at the bestseller at Sephora, and the Urban Decay bestseller at Sephora was their eyeliners. And when I looked at the bestseller eyeliners on Ulta, they were also the Urban Decay 24/7 eyeliners. So I got the blue one because you know what I really like? It's such a great way to get an extra pop into your look. It's putting some colored liner on your waterline. I know this is like such an old school trick, but I feel like we kind of forgot about it. So if you like doing neutral looks, but you want to incorporate a little bit of color, I cannot recommend enough doing something in your waterline. You know what? I do agree, these are really beautiful, very, very creamy. I know that Makeup Revolution has a eyeliner that has the same kind of creaminess that's also really, really good in the waterline. I'll try to remember and pop up a picture here so that you can see which one I like if you're looking for even more colors. Because I've tried that one and I think it's really, really beautiful. Okay, last and final product is gonna be mascara. And this is where I'm gonna pull something that's actually sponsored. Because the mascara that's on the list, it says it's sponsored, but I honestly do think it might belong on this list because it is such a bestseller, and that is the Bad Gal Bang by Benefit. I recently, this one I fished out of my empties, I used this one up. It is one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite mascara of all time. It is so wonderful with keeping the curl. It really elongating and lifting your lashes and making them look so long and lifted and separated and just defined. And I did buy a new one, and then when I looked at this bestsellers, I was like, okay, this one is sponsored, but you know what? Even if this one doesn't belong on this list, it does belong on this list because it's such a good mascara, and I am so excited to have a fresh one. I love it. Should we go in and look at the bestsellers at Sephora and see if it's there or if it's sponsored there too? So I looked at Sephora and it seems like the Benefit mascara is sponsored to be on the bestseller list there as well. Maybe they're trying to get some talk about the mascara again, but I'll talk about it for free. Listen, I love this mascara. I think it is beautiful. I have repurchased it myself several times. I mean, recently this week. Yeah, literally one of my favorite makeup products and most repurchased makeup products of all time. I think it is such a good mascara, and I definitely recommend it. So I'm not sad. I'm not sad at all to have another one, and the artwork is here. Great. Okay, so that is one layer of the mascara on this eye and nothing, of course, on this eye. Well, I have on the lower lash line, but I just think it looks beautiful. I'm gonna put a second layer on too, and I'm gonna do no lashes today. And let me get back to you and we can chat about if I agree with these bestsellers or not. But let me leave you with this question. I just said, I think this is my most repurchased makeup product of all time. Maybe the NYX HD powder as well. This one and the NYX HD powder, and probably like brow products. Ooh, and the Sigma eyeshadow primer stick. Those are some of my most repurchased makeup. What is your most repurchased makeup product? Let us know in the comments down below. I want to know. Well, I gotta say, I think this makeup look, maybe not the hair, don't look at the hair, but I think this makeup look is pretty dope. I mean, I already knew that I liked the concealer, I liked the bronzer, the highlighter, the blush. I knew I liked all of these things. I knew I liked the mascara and the lip products, but it all came together really well. And I gotta say, I mean, the eyeshadow looks pretty good. I really did not like the other two palettes from Morphe, and I definitely feel like the problem was that they were just too weak. They were transparent, they were not giving any kind of impact whatsoever, and they were quite honestly giving us that air of like 1992 drugstore makeup, and we don't want to relive that into 2025. But this looks really good. It looks really good. Am I surprised to see these as bestsellers? Not really, in a way. In a way, I am kind of surprised to see that Morphe has this many bestsellers, because there are brands that I thought was going to have more bestsellers. I thought we were going to see more things from e.l.f. I thought we were going to see more things from ColourPop. Can we just take a second to think about that there is nothing from ColourPop? I also remember when I did a video way back in the Wayback Machine, and I was comparing bestsellers at Sephora and Ulta with bestsellers of Swedish big makeup store Kicks. And I remember how different the bronzer territory was then, because Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer was a bestseller. Yeah, I probably brought back a core memory, right? You were like, ooh. When was the last time you heard anyone talk about that bronzer? I think that one is gone. Let me know, like I said, what is your product that you probably repurchased the most? Is any of these products a favorite of yours? I will put all the things that I'm using down below in the description box, which shade I'm using and everything, in case you're interested. I'll also link it in YouTube Shopping in case you want to support the channel and shop through my affiliate links. That really does help out a lot. So if you do that, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. I do these kind of videos talking about makeup, comparing makeup, doing my makeup quite a lot. So if you want to see more makeup content, don't forget to subscribe and let me know, do you want to see an updated one with Sephora favorites? Or is there another retailer do you want me to look into? I'm open for suggestions. Please let me know in the comments. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon in a new video.